Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Happy holidays, Merry everything. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Quilting Rockstars. My name is HollyAnne Darcy of String and Story, and it is my job to guide you to quilt with confidence. I am, as always, joined by Darcy. Yay! And we're making bundles today, so y'all can't really see super well. Let me tilt this down. But you can see all these wonderful colored fabrics. We are making these giant. They are giant. There's like 17 yards of fabric in this nonsense. Giant bundles of fabric for next year's block of the month. So we are going to be here working on this. By the way, I know that not everyone who has placed an order since Black Friday is going to be tuned into this video, but if you are one of the amazing people who has placed an order since Black Friday and you are still waiting on your order, we have received it. It is safe. It is getting filled as fast as we can fill orders. Y'all greatly exceeded our expectations, and so we have been frantically getting more fabric and more all the things to make this happen. So all is well. We are going to have a pretty simple episode today. So normally we do reviews and giveaways and all the fun things. We will resume that in the new year, but honestly, we're up to our eyeballs in all the things. And so we're going to just focus on all the things and be here with y'all. Yay!
Just have a little chat and a little fun. Alicia!
Yes, little chat, little fun. I love it. So these are the blocks that we're making next year. They're foundation paper pieced. Stay tuned next week. I will be sending out an email with an invitation to a free workshop for this. But also take a look at these. If you've been following along with the Free Motion Quilting Academy launch, these are all motifs that you will be learning inside Free Motion Quilting Academy as well.
So fun.
FMQA is open for enrollment through Saturday. And very important note that I have not told y'all before now, and I will repeat this at the end because only a few of y'all are here. But we've done the calendar for next year, and FMQA will not open for enrollment again until August. So, like, jump in. Dun, 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 dun. So, all of these amazing little critter blocks. This is the Endangered Species block of the month.
Oh, that's so cute.
There's mini threads. I know, it's so good.
Now, do some of the colors repeat?
Yes.
So you use some of the colors.
Yeah, so like you'll notice like the navy is the shadow in both of these. Like the black is the nose in both of these.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, so that's why even though they're just 12-inch blocks, there's like large cuts of some of these fabrics.
Totally makes sense. I haven't done the pattern, but I'm filling the orders, so.
It's such a good question because I had someone ask me last week about the fact that there's like 1.5 yards of black in the kit, and she was like, but I looked at it and like there's not that much black. But every single one of them has a little bit of black.
So
and it adds up like a lot more than you think it would.
Yeah.
So, yep.
They're so pretty.
Ta-da!
Those penguins, the penguins are my favorite.
Oh my gosh, I know.
We could do like holiday penguins, you know? Like,
oh my gosh, little holiday penguins. Maybe next year.
With a little bow tie.
Oh my gosh, maybe next year we're going to have a little parade of penguins for the holidays
I
in
love
here.
That. That's fun.
Oh, Marianne, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, Francie. Huzzah, huzzah. So anyway, those of you who did this block of the month with us in 2021, if you've not finished your blocks, you can jump back in. We'll be working on it together. Those of you who love how that quilting looks and you want to learn how to quilt in 2023, we've got FMQA. And if you're just here to hang out, we're thrilled that you're here to hang out.
Yay, because that's what we're doing.
Exactly. I taught Slip and Sew last night. Alicia was there. I was given one of the greatest compliments of my life.
Okay.
Part A of said compliment was that I should be a stand-up comedian, which I thought was really wonderful. But part B,
don't fill her head up.
But part B of that compliment was Jessie told me that I should write like a quilting book, and that the instructions should use the same analogies that I use when I teach.
Oh my god!
And I was like, oh my god, I could be the Stephanie Pearl McPhee of quilting.
That's
it made me really happy.
I love that so much.
Yep. So last night we had to line up some fabric, and the two like tubes of the wine bottle tote were inside of each other, and I was having them line up the bottom edge and like stay stitch it together so that then when we put the bottom on, we didn't have to keep track of 3 things quite so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so this is like you're wearing a dress, and you gotta pull your slip down. I was like, I need you to like pull a little slip down, and then we're gonna sew them together. Anyway, that's how we end up there. Good morning, Deborah. Super excited to get started with Free Motion Quilting Academy. Yay, 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 yay. Me too. Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Susan. Yay. It's going to be so good.
So fun.
So good.
All right, I'm ordering our lunch.
Oh, yes.
What do you want?
Can I have the veg drum, please?
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I want. I've had enough meat this week. I had a hamburger for dinner last night. Like, what?
That sounds delicious.
It was. Well, good, brought their burger back.
Oh, did they? Oh, I'll have to tell Ed.
Tell Ed and
Oh,
Neil,
okay.
yes.
So this Friday, so that's tomorrow.
Last Friday?
Yeah, no, this coming Friday.
Oh, this coming Friday. Okay.
Tomorrow we are having my husband and my son are going out for boys' night, and Molly and I are going out for girls' night. So Molly and I are going to we're gonna go get our nails done and then go get sushi. And then my son Neil wants a burger. So Ed and Neil
Good burger is back.
Oh, I will text Ed.
And then I can get like good beer too.
Yes.
We like good beer.
Yes, we love that.
Yes.
So that is our getting our nails done is one of our holiday traditions that Molly and I do together every year.
I love that.
They
Sorry, y'all. We'll be coming kind of in and out of camera as we're stacking fabric.
I'll go in the middle. Yay!
Huzzah!
Okay. Today's just a chatty one. So we had a question for you guys.
Oh, yes. This is so good. I teased this last night. I teased this. Oh, yeah. I'm decapitated. There we are.
You're just a body.
That is
Okay.
a butt burn.
So
like that.
we,
Right,
in Seinfeld, when they have Festivus, so there's the airing of the grievances. So the other day we were
for the rest of
for
us.
the rest of us. So we were sitting around and we were airing our quilt grievances. So we thought we'd ask you guys. Trimming.
The expectation of trimming.
Honestly, for me, just cutting in general. If somebody would cut all my stuff for me, I would
Listen.
sew all day long. All day.
I wonder if we could find someone who genuinely loves cutting. I'm not this person, so this is not happening. Wonder how many kits we could sell if it was pre-cut. Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Okay.
Get a laser cutter. Cutter.
Laser cut the fabric. That seems excessive, but wonderful.
But like so delightful.
And like futuristic and modern.
I know. Move over, AccuQuilt. HollyAnne on a laser.
So yes, we wanted to know what your quilt grievances,
Yes.
specifically not like belittling designers or things,
Right.
but like trends and like what part of the process do you not like?
Yes, part of the process, expectations around perfectionism.
Oh yeah.
Or, mean things that someone at your guild has said that we need to have a moment of rebuking that voice in your head.
That's a good one.
Dee Dee, Marie, huzzah,
I hate
Karen,
cutting.
Mitzi.
Alicia, yes.
Yes.
I do too.
Yes.
Alicia says she always makes mistakes and needs more fabric, and that is like
Yes.
the story of my life, especially when we're talking.
Yeah. I end up doing, if I'm going to have to cut something, I have to come up here like really early on a Saturday morning or like really late at night when I'm alone. Cause I have to like be by myself to focus on the cutting. Cause yes, 100%. What was the other one? Y'all know this about me. Quilt as desired. Listen, every single pattern I've written has this phrase in it too. So I feel like I can like have a little poo-poo moment. Why do we say that?
Well,
That's the vaguest, least helpful.
In the pattern?
Yes, it literally is
I was
it's like so rows together.
Oh, it's
Quilt
not-
as desired.
It's not
Bind.
open yet. You can't order until 11:30 because I kept opening it. It just said closed. Darn it. We can just go up there and order. Like go in there and order. Okay.
Or we could place it right at 11:30, and then by the time we walk up there. So yes, quilt as desired is
Quilt
another.
as desired.
Squaring up blocks. Yes.
Yes, it is a necessary evil. I know. Trimming half square triangles is the same thing.
It depends on the pattern for me.
Okay.
It depends on the pattern.
Well, yeah, because if it's going into like, for example, and something where it's going into a bigger block, most of the time it just needs to be trimmed because it doesn't fit into the other dimensions of the other things you've created.
Yeah.
Because that was the one. What was I making? Oh, it was the Toad and Sew mystery quilt along.
Which if y'all haven't seen that on her feed, you need to go check it out.
So
it's
fun.
great.
It was a fun pattern to make, but there was trimming, just so you all know.
Yeah.
But you have to trim the half square triangles, or else because I looked at it and I was like, maybe I don't have to trim. And then you put it up next to it, you have to trim.
You have to trim it.
The half square triangles are like just enough too big that you can't fudge it. So
Darn.
I know. Hate that for us.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do hate that for us. What other quilt? Ooh, acting like hand binding is inherently superior to machine binding.
Yeah.
And listen, if you like hand binding and you like doing it and you like how it looks and you feel like it's better for you, I'm here for that. I will support you all day long. I hand sew nothing except buttons and ballet shoes.
I hand sew everything.
Including buttons and ballet shoes.
Yeah. Actually, I have machine sew on my buttons.
Okay, well then there's that.
You put it on a zigzag stitch and you drop the feed dogs, and then you you crank down the wheel the first time, so you make sure that the zigzag goes through the holes without going, and then you can just press the press button, it goes back and forth, and you're done. It's so easy.
I would break my machine if I tried. I could follow those exact same directions, and I would break my machine.
I don't recommend breaking your machine. I did that recently.
Yeah, I'm gonna just know myself. Sometimes, it's just a know thyself kind of moment, and I know me, and I would break the machine. Yep.
So yeah,
Aw, so good to see you. Hello back in the Netherlands. Ooh, Karen says, cool, please give me a bad time for working on multiple projects at the same time. What?
Really?
Do you think that will even fun?
Yeah. I feel like everybody's so different on this.
Yeah. I am not a monogamous quilter.
I'm trying to think because I think I am. I used to be a very monogamous knitter, but now I always have like 4 projects going.
I've been a bad influence on Darcy. She used to be very focused in her work. She got things done very efficiently. Then she met me, and that's like, spending time with a squirrel on crack. So here we are.
But I definitely, and a lot of the reason why I always focus on one thing at a time is because I do so many different crafts. So I'll have like one quilt, one knitting project. Well, I do one knitting project, one sock. So I guess that still counts.
That's 2 different things. Okay. I definitely track that. Because a sweater and a sock are not the same thing. Yeah. And when you're going to quilt each of those is different.
Yeah.
By the way, we realized with the wine totes, it's perfect to put a skein of yarn down it.
Oh, I love that.
And then you can just stick your needles down it, and then
you just carry it with you. Oh, I love this so much.
Yeah.
There we are.
Ungrateful recipients. Ooh.
Ooh. That is such a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
What width do you usually cut your binding?
If I'm like trying to do it right, I will cut 2 1/4, but then I always screw it up. So I've mostly resigned myself to I'm going to have slightly wider than binding than the quilt police prefer and have it be neater. And I cut 2 1/2.
Fair.
Yeah.
You know what I do is I forget every time I go do binding and I have to Google it. And I do a lot of binding, guys, like more than should be. Like,
because she also does mine because I hate it.
I have not stored that information in my brain. I was like, Google will store that information.
That's really interesting. Of all the craft information you store in your brain, you've chosen to store latch hooking, but not binding width.
Yes, that's correct.
That's intriguing to me. Admittedly, there's less on Google about latch hooking, so maybe it's more important that it lives in your brain.
Yeah, it needs to be there. Okay. But I can Google it really quick. I just type in what size you cut your binding, and then it comes up like Google.
But you can get a different answer every time.
Well, it says usually 2 1/4, but some people do 2 1/2, and I'm like, done.
But show quilters do 2 1/8.
Ooh. We need to update Google.
Someone tell Google. Jenny says, hardest thing for me is to remember what pattern I intended to make for the bundles of fabric I bought.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe this is the secret reason why people love kits, because then it's labeled.
That's why I love kits.
Oh, I do binding with a flange. It's so much easier. I've never done it with a flange, but it looks nice.
I've never done that either. Somebody came in and was showing me that though the other day, and it was very intriguing.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm glad I didn't order lunch yet.
I hand sew nothing, Valerie. I love that.
I think everybody, like, you either love hand sewing or you hate it. I have yet to meet anybody who's lukewarm on hand sewing.
Yeah. I once in a while will get on a mad tear to do something like hand binding, and it lasts 5 seconds.
Yep.
And then that project is never finished. Case in point.
Oh, do you want me to take those home and finish those for you?
Yeah, I might want you to do that actually. So machine binding on the front, I hand stitched it on the back because I wanted it to be really, really tidy, right? This block, and it will not take you this long. So I'm going to say a thing. I'm going to put a big red asterisk next to it of do not allow this information to make you fearful of this block of the month. When I was making these blocks of the month, I was videoing and photographing every single step because I was making all the blocks for Orfel, and then I had to edit the videos, etc. So by the time I made the block, quilted the block, had videoed the block, had edited the video, had written the blog, each of these blocks is about 15 hours worth of work for me.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on in here. So I was like, I want the binding to be super tidy, and the only way for it to be super tidy for me is to hand stitch it. Mm-hmm. But please note, I have bound exactly one in the last 2 years. and only one.
That could be my January project.
Yeah, that's kind of loosely on my list of like maybe, or if I can get them attached, I will sometimes hand bind in the car.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So I'll hand bind like while we're going hiking, you know, like while we're driving up. Deborah said, I saw a tip of someone who rounds all her corners to avoid having to do the corners.
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting.
I actually really want to do a rounded corner.
I've heard really good things about it. I don't mind the corners. They don't bother me.
No, I have a pretty decent method.
Stitch that I always bungle.
Bungle. I think either one works.
I think it works. Yeah, it sounds good. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I feel like that is the thing though. Like doing content when you're creating content around what you're making. It takes so much longer. I have so half of the projects I make never see the light of the internet. Because it takes
and
so
that's
long.
how your productive show is. Yeah. That's why 100 Days, 100 Blocks, I can guarantee you when I finally finish it, I'm going to deeply regret not having more documentation of it. But the only way I've gotten even 73 blocks done is by not creating content around basically any of it.
Yep. Sometimes you just need those projects that are yours for you.
Well, I did a photo. Remember that summer I was working on it so diligently?
Yeah.
And I took a photo like every time I made one, and I was working on it daily, and I would like capture the day. It was like a little photo journal.
Oh, that's so cute.
It was very cute, but then it died.
That's so sad. That's just so sad.
It was what it was. Maybe that'll come back though, since we're doing foundation paper piecing this next year.
I need to grab these last two from my bundle.
Oh, yes, you're good.
Okay.
We're only going to be able to make like 2 more bundles because of the yellows, which is distressing. But
I'm doing the thing that I unintentionally doing the thing that I always do, which is like I'm like, oh wait, I should help right at the very end when no one needs help.
No, you're good. You're great because there's not very. Oh, never mind. This is the last one because toast. Oh wait, no, I already have toast. It's not the last one. We can do one more. I already did toast.
Oh yeah, you've already done that one. Okay, we can do one more. Here it is. I'll do it.
Also, those of you who bought this kit from me a couple of years ago, 2 things. First of all, we've changed up how we're doing it, and so where the pattern calls for like a 3-inch strip of fabric,
we're not doing that this time because I didn't want to lose my mind. But I also decided to, help you not lose your mind. So those of you who bought this kit from me and I didn't do this 2 years ago, I'm sorry. Thank you for loving me anyway. We labeled all the fabrics this time, and I'm really proud of us for that.
Yeah.
I'm mostly proud that I figured out how to print labels.
We're out of amethyst.
And toast.
Your 90s childhood training finally paid off.
No, I was never successsul about adding them in. That's why I was so excited.
Oh.
I always had to get my dad to come print the labels because I could never get it to work.
And we didn't even have to get your dad up here.
I know. I didn't have to get John.
Oh my God.
Miracles.
I would have loved your dad to come up here.
He would have. That's the funny thing is I could have been like, Jim Dobbins, I need you. And the man would have come up here and printed labels for me. And he would have been really judgy the whole time. Not like in a mean, judgy way. Just in like a, oh my gosh, I've taught you how to do so many things and yet you can't flipping print labels.
It would have been great though.
But he would have been very cute and I would have documented it well. And he probably would have been an internet sensation.
Yeah, because he's the perfect 90s dad.
He is. Really I keep trying to convince him to start a YouTube channel called The Perfect 90s Dad and he refuses. He doesn't understand why he's so darling. And I'm like, because you are just everything a 90s dad was and is and is supposed to be.
I know. You're darling because of nostalgia.
Yeah. Like, it's fantastic. Like, my kids go over there and he's like, today we're going to run the wood chipper. And they chip wood. I'm like, dear God, this is so very 90s.
I love that so much.
He has moved away from the Hawaiian shirts and into just plaid short sleeve button downs.
All right.
But it's a similar enough vibe.
Yeah, we can get him to bring back the Hawaiian.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
He's darling.
Okay.
I adore him.
Still haven't finished my 100 blocks in 100 days either. All the blocks are finished. That's from Mitzi.
Maybe. Okay, so we're working on, I'm not going to tell you all the details of this, but we're working on a fun new idea for a bit of a finish along moment in 2023. And I think that my 100 days, 100 blocks might be the quilt that I choose for that when we get there. So Mitzi, maybe yours will be as well. Maybe we'll finish them up together.
Oh, I know a quilt. I only have one that has not been finished because because I'm a starter and a finisher.
I deeply admire that you're a finisher.
This was before I was ever a quilter. This was my first experience with a quilt. I wanted to make a quilt. This was in Morganton, North Carolina.
This was before you made, because then you made Lanterns of Hope, and that was your first quilt here, right?
Yeah, except for one with scrap. Okay, we'll get to that. So I made 2 quilts before I entered some hope. Yeah. So the first one, I saw this pattern and it was beautiful and it was a twin size quilt. And I was like, I can do this. And
why do we do this to ourselves?
And I was a garment sewist at this time. I had no rotary cutters. I had no mats. I drew lines on all the fabric and cut it out with scissors.
God bless you.
I made the whole top and walking foot quilted, I don't know, 3 or 4 lines. And then was finally like, I hate this so very much. And I folded it up. It's all pin basted. It's like done.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're having show and tell in January with this quilt.
It's all pin basted, and I like hid it. I put it in the closet. I was like, I'll get back to this later. I probably just free motioned over the whole thing now because it'd be more fun. Anyway, and I bought such beautiful fabric. I went to this like.
I was gonna say, do you still like the fabric?
Yeah,
like,
it's
is it beautiful? Okay,
oh, yeah.
Did the quilt top turn out nicely?
Yeah, turned out fine. For all of that, cutting it with scissors and marking it.
And that doesn't tell you how precise Darcy is as a human, but she could mark fabric and cut it with scissors, and the quilt still comes out neatly.
I mean, it's probably not as neat as my quilts now. Practice makes progress,
right?
As we know. But there's a sticker.
But girl, yeah, neat as your quilts now. There's a lot of margin before you arrive at neat as your quilts are now. We had a moment last night. We were talking about precision in piecing the circle in, and Jessie picked up your wine tote that you had made as the sample. And she was like, well, this one doesn't have puckers on the bottom, but mine does. I said, Darcy made that one. She said, never mind. I'm not worried about it anymore. And someone else on the table was like, wait, what? I was like, no, y'all, we never compare ourselves to Darcy.
So I have to say, like, all of my first quilt was good because all of my like learning to, all of my bad precision stuff happened in my baby dresses that I made for Molly. Yeah. So like
and if you're gonna achieve precision on curves, you're doing all
when you're setting in a sleeve and you learn how to do that well, then the rest of it comes easy. So I feel like that was a steep learning curve there.
Yeah.
But then my second quilt was I had all these scraps from making dresses for Molly through the years, and I cut them up into little squares and I just sewed the squares together, and then I hand quilted over the whole thing because I knew I hated the walking foot quilting so much from my first experience. Yeah. So I just hand quilted straight lines up the middle of all the.
I love that.
Yeah. That's and it still sits on my couch.
Aw, I love it.
So those are my early quilting. Okay.
I like it.
Long story. Sorry.
No, that was a great job. I just was like, oh, let me make sure that there's no commentary. I need to be reading out loud. Deborah says, I have a question about half square triangles. Is there a reason to cut before stitching rather than stitch then cut? My directions are having me cut first, but I like to stitch first. You mean like cut the triangles in half?
Like go ahead and cut the squares into the triangle and then you stitch down the bias line?
Please stitch that first. I don't know why it's written that way.
I mean,
and let me, asterisks. Okay. I love asterisks. I say that, read ahead in the pattern and make sure that there's not some like reason she's had you do that. I cannot think of a reason why that would be the case, but yeah, if you're taking squares and she's wanting you to like I'm assuming a gender, if the pattern designer is not, is wanting you to cut the square into those triangles before you stitch it, and there's not a very specific reason given, I would flip those. I would just disregard. The reason it is possible that they wrote it that way, if they have an AccuQuilt cuts half square triangles as triangles. So if this person is working with a die cutter for any reason, it could just be that their experience is they have a triangle and then they sew.
Right. Mitzi, we are the same. We are the same. Started using plastic templates that I trace around and cut with scissors. That's how all my first ones were.
The piecing and quilting was done by hand. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Maybe it was the Lord's grace that I did not enter into quilting until machine quilting everything was more or less acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm not patient enough.
Oh, I loved all the hands. See, I would sew all the stuff that I could sew as quickly as I could, like all the little dresses for Molly, and get everything to a point where it was just hand sewing stuff. So like finishing up the hems. So I would sew on buttons if I wanted to do it that way, whatever. And then I would take it all.
You feel like being a zigzag maniac that day.
And then I would take it all I'd throw it all in a pile by the couch, and then I would sit and watch things at night and hand finish everything.
See, she's a very like patient sitter and watcher too. Mm-hmm. Like you always come in with like, you watch this incredible thing and you're like, you would love it. I'm like, I probably would, but I will never sit still through it. I'm not capable. It's really upsetting.
Thank you. That's what
Oh yes. Yeah. Do the sew first.
Agreed.
Yeah. AccuQuilt is pricey, Deborah. It's a very cool product. I had one for a while that they gifted me. And ultimately, because you have to buy a die for every single thing,
Yeah.
I did not feel like it was worth it for me. I make too many different sizes of things. If you are a quilter that you always do things at a 6-inch base, then you are absolutely the ideal customer for Active.
Yeah, if you run like a Etsy quilt business where you cut out these things and you're always sewing the same thing, same size, then go for it. That's wonderful.
Or if you know you're gonna make, you got grandkids, you're gonna make 16 of the same quilt, give or take, then like it's worth it. But I don't find that it's worth it day in and day out.
Store the whole library of
because
it's
a lot of space. It's a lot of money. Yeah.
And the cutting is my least favorite part. And the shortcut around it sounds wonderful, but
I ultimately didn't find that it was that much shorter because you still have to arrange the fabric. You still have to run it through the machine. Then you have to peel it out.
Yep.
It just and there's a lot more waste, which would make you break out in hives.
There was a sewing pattern designer that was talking to me about prep work.
Yeah.
Because like the prep work around sewing is also one of the more tedious parts. I mean, you have to cut out your patterns, you have to mark everything. But she was like, if you can learn to love this part of the process, it's the most important part. And I kind of feel that way about the cutting too. If you can figure out ways to make it fun.
When I can do it by myself and have a movie or a good audiobook and not feel rushed. That's a really important part, is I have to not feel rushed with my cutting.
Well, that was smart.
I know there's a rule
measuring it.
Well, then I know that it's about right. I don't know.
I love that.
We'll see if it actually is about right, if it goes around.
Oh,
this whole situation is like one giant fabric omelet flip. It's looking a little skimpy going that direction. I was going to double it, but maybe we just won't.
Oh, no, I think you could double it because the other side is short.
It is, but the stack is tall.
Oh, yeah, I think it's good. You got this.
Yeah.
You got this. Trust me.
No, going this way. I was going to have the yarn like folded in half.
Oh, yeah, no, there's not enough for that.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I was like,
April Fools, you have to do that.
To see what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I always get there. It's just a slow journey.
Well, I'm really terrible at only giving you like 67% of the information that's in my head.
I think we're all like that. We're on this whole train journey in our brains.
Yeah.
People are following.
Yeah, do you have a London tube in your brain of all your thoughts?
I do.
Okay, that's how I describe my mind palace, as Sherlock Holmes would say. John asked me one day, I cannot believe I'm saying this on the internet. Here we go. John asked me one day, he says, do you have a mind palace? And I was like, sort of. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I have a mind London tube. And he was like, what? And I was like, because it's all connected. It's not like in orderly rows and stacks. It's all connected. I was like, but then sometimes the trains teleport from like one line to the other. One moment we're on Bakerloo, the next minute we're not. So
mine is like the Biltmore estate.
Oh, tell me more.
I feel like there's all these rooms that, like, when you walk in, it's pretty and grand, and then everything starts to get weird and dark and dingy, and there's parts that aren't finished. We just close those parts off to the public, and we don't let people in there.
That's really interesting. I knew someone one time that her mind palace was a hotel.
Okay.
And as like life experiences and new relationship buckets were built, they were
no! Tragedy.
She would build new floors in her mind palace hotel. Yeah. And then she had one floor where all the bad things lived. They all lived on the same floor.
That's the correct one.
I'm missing one.
You're missing
I'm
one.
missing green sheen. Will you hand it to me?
Where did it go?
It's right there.
Just
I think I just missed it, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, that does not give us lots of faith.
It doesn't. That makes me really worried. Okay, let's see. All those years ago when I took quilt making classes, class 101 was doing the things by hand, and as we progressed, we could take rotary cutter classes.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I get that. When you teach Quilt 101, the scariest part is putting rotary cutters in those people's hands.
It is, but I still teach it. But I spend the whole first class on it. Like, swear words.
She's dropping all the fabric.
I shouldn't have picked it up until I cut the yarn.
We have very serious safety talks.
We have so it's a 9-hour course over 3 weeks. And week 1 is just rotary cutting, and it is slow. There is no rushing. We have very serious safety talks. Mm-hmm. I'm like, we're not playing in here.
Yeah, because rotary cutters are dangerous.
They are. Someone can get really, really hurt.
Yep.
And
I'm just watching you do this. This is
well, I'm doing a really bad job.
fabulous job helping
So the
here.
entertainment value is high. I feel like this is, like a set of twins. And the first twin was very cooperative. And the second twin got into the Vaseline.
This is a great analogy. Analogy game on point.
It is one of my most interesting and maybe useless skills, but interesting.
We all have those. Okay, everybody, what's your most useless skill?
Who's good at trivia? That's what I want to know.
Oh, yeah, that's not me.
That's not me either. It's fine.
That'd be a very specific skill set.
I mean, crafting trivia.
Yeah. Like Black Widow, specific skills.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were going to get
She's
that.
the best offender. So.
She really is. She's my favorite.
I know.
But yeah.
Wow, that was a precarious situation. But
Gorgeous. Oh, look, you only have one more. Do you need help?
There's 2 more.
Oh, shit. Sorry. I asked at the wrong time. All right, I'll help.
Dang, man it.
Come on, planet.
What was it? Was it with you? No, maybe it was with Kate. I was talking. So, okay, context. My family is from truly rural South Carolina.
Oh my gosh, this is impossible.
We're like real rednecks, and so my brain is full of all these really lovely backwoods South Carolina farm sayings, like "Lord willing, the creek don't rise," etc. And I got riled up about something talking to Kate the other day, and something along those lines fell out of my mouth, and she was like, I thought you were joking. And then I realized you were not being ironic. Like, you meant that seriously. I was like, yeah, this is part of my vocabulary as a human, is things like Lord willing, the creek don't rise, and hair past a freckle. That's also in there for like, what time is it? That's like, you could say tool time. You could tell the actual time, which would be helpful. You could say, hair past a freckle.
You could tell the actual time, which would be helpful, was actually the question they asked.
But why would we do that, given the other options on the table? Given the high entertainment value. That backfired on my parents one time. So I learned my lesson about rotary cutters the hard way. Ooh! Yeah. I lost the tip of my index finger to my first rotary cutter. I didn't have a fingerprint for a bit on the tip of that finger.
Well, and you taught me rotary cutter safety from the get-go.
Yeah. Yes. I'm a little bit mean about it. I try not.
I did not feel like you were mean.
Oh, really?
As somebody who's obsessed with safety,
she would leave that thing open. I felt like I was screaming at you. Oh yeah, you did this too.
As somebody who loves safety and all things cautious, I really appreciated the amount of seriousness that you took safety and rotary cutter.
I mean, I'm not usually that safe, but rotary cutters I don't play with.
I'm that safe about everything.
Yeah, you are. So it backfired on my parents. So my dad is full of all these like witty country sayings, right? It backfired mightily because my dad, if you ask him what time it is, he says tool time because he's the 90s dad. and and once in a while I get the hair past a freckle. So we're at this show, and I can't tell you who the comedian was because I was like 4. In this big auditorium full of people. This comedian goes, "Do you know what time it is? 4-year-old HollyAnne. Tool time!" At the top of my freaking lungs. I'm pretty sure my mother died and came back to life in the split seconds that followed. It's the only time in my life I remember her bodily yanking me down across her and clapping a hand over my mouth. And it was like after the show before I understood what I had done wrong. I still was like, he asked a question. I gave him the answer. What do you want from me? And mom had to be like, this is how shows work. We don't scream things.
Oh, we gotta go pretty soon. Okay.
Oh yeah, we gotta order.
Also, the grocery girls are live. So if anybody is like, I want to chat, I want to listen more chatting.
Then they're also very chatty.
Today was a very chatty episode.
So Quilt Griffin says we don't like rotary cutting.
But that is really hilarious.
Tool
time.
Listen, That's what I've been taught to say. I had no idea.
Like, I know the answer to this.
Yeah,
one.
no, I really felt like I was like, oh, I'm smarter than all these grown-ups that I said that fastest.
Hermione Granger.
Facts. Facts. Yeah, and then I don't know if my mom and I have spoken about that since. Like it was such a mutually traumatizing experience.
Oh my gosh.
You would have thought that I learned my lesson about shouting out of turn that night. I did not. Please ask every teacher I had forever. Here we are. Anyway, Rockstars, thank you for joining us for this last YouTube live before the holidays.
Yay!
Or the continuation of the holidays, our children getting out of school, end of the year, all of the things. We will be back with more Quilting Rockstars on YouTube in 2023. In the meanwhile, this Saturday, right here on our YouTube channel, we have the long arm preparatory graduation, the very first ever. It's very exciting. And then we'll also be having the Free Motion Quilting Academy welcome party. So all of y'all have been jumping into this last cohort of FMQA for 2022. We'll be celebrating you and your decision to jump in. I do just want to draw your attention to the links in the caption of this video. I did drop our e-commerce link in there, stringandstory.com/shop. The chances of orders going out in time for Christmas are fairly low. The chances of things going out before the new year are fairly high. So just a little caveat there. We are still working on getting all the kits out that have been ordered here recently, and we're going to be prioritizing those since folks have been waiting. There's also a link for Free Motion Quilting Academy. As I mentioned, this is the last cohort of FMQA until August 2023. So even if you're sitting here and you're like, I really want to learn how to free motion quilt, but starting in January is not the right fit for me. If you do not want to wait all the way till August, please consider jumping into this cohort. Those courses and lessons will be waiting for you, even if you wait and start in, say, March or April, okay? The last thing in there is that we did put a link to this Aurifil Color Builders Endangered Species block of the month. We'll be having a kickoff later this month for that. Stay tuned for more details. But we'll be having a kickoff for that. But if you already know you're looking for an awesome block of the month for next year, if you want to learn about free motion quilting, but also foundation paper piecing with me, maybe get one of these funky kits, you can go learn more about that as well. All in all, thank you for being here with us for 2022. It has been a wild ride of a year, and y'all are the best part of it, as always. All right, we'll see you next year. Bye, y'all.